Good evening. This is Mac with the Mac commentary and Bob. He's also with us this evening. And how are you doing, Bob?
I'm doing very well, Mac. Thank you for having me on again. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah, we just going to take up where we left off the last time. We had been talking about the justice of else, and a lot of things have developed since that time when we discussed the 10,000 men called by the minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes.
And one of the things in particular that I talked about this morning was the shooting of the deputy sheriff Goforth in Houston, Texas. And as they still, I thought they had caught the suspect, but apparently they haven't really come out and said the person they are talking to right now is actually the suspect. So we really don't know what happened under this circumstance there. Why did they first come out and say they had the suspect, that the mother had turned him in? And now, they are reporting that he is not the suspect. He's a person of interest. Is what they're saying. What do you think on that? Have you heard anything else on that, Bob?
Yes, I saw something about that as well, Mac, and I think that's going to be a very difficult situation for us for this reason. The report that I saw said that the shooter, they described him as a black man, and the fact that after having shot the deputy in the back, when he was on the ground, he went over and shot into the person again. It appears to be just a cold-blooded killing. Now, you might ask me, well, Bob, what has that got to do with the Million Man March and the 1,000 people that Minister Farrakhan has asked to come out, 10,000 people to kill those that kill us? Well, Mac, I think there's perhaps a lot of people out here in America today, young people like that shooter of that deputy, what'd you say his name is? Deputy Goforth?
Goforth, that's correct.
Okay, that deputy that shot him, there are probably hundreds, perhaps thousands of others out here like that. Just, you might, and I don't make light of this, but they're champing at the bit, just waiting for a signal to do that. Now, if my speculation, because that's all I'm doing, is has some basis, just think of the difficulty that could arise on October the 10th when you have these 10,000 potential martyrs and a million or so people on the plaza in Washington, D.C., and if their instinct is to start to kill those that kill us, there could be a potential initiation for another civil war in America in 2015.
Well, don't you think right now that the policemen are extremely mad and ready to go after anybody right now to try to take some revenge for the killing of one of their fellow officers?
Oh, I agree with you, because when you consider the fact that I think I the last time we spoke that I had read a report several months ago where this, I don't know, I think I saw her on television, a young female attorney who was saying that a black man was killed every 27 hours by the police, but that was not a highly publicized circumstance. And so if they are killing people, now blacks, and perhaps killing others as well, but we're focused on blacks because I think that's the primary focus of the Minister Farrakhan and his 10,000 martyrs, 10,000 call for martyrs. And maybe I mischaracterized these people. Maybe they're not going to be martyrs. But the point is this: if these people are killing people at a rate of 1 per every 27 hours, and they're not being killed, just think of the image that's going to go out to them when they see and hear the fact that one of their own has been brutally shot down like this, and then while he's on the ground, shot even more. What is that going to do to their psyche? And will that cause them to up their game in a sense and begin to kill more people that they see as really those that are deserving of their killing spree in a sense?
Well, that's definitely something is going to happen from there. I noticed that they are saying that the chief, I believe the sheriff of that county there, I believe it's Harris County, he made the statement that in his 45 years he had never seen such a cold-blooded, cowardly act. And I just wonder, where has he been when all of these blacks have been killed, and especially the one down in South Carolina who was shot 8 times in the back?
Yes.
Over, for child support or something like that, I believe. And,
yes.
And if that's not cold-blooded, what about Tamir Rice there in Cleveland, the boy that had a play gun? He didn't even give him a chance to put the gun on the ground to drop it, before he jumped out of the car while the car was moving and shooting, Wild West.
Yes, and I saw something here several months ago. I don't remember what state it was in, but this fella had been stopped. I think he was at a service station, and the policeman asked him for his driver's license, and this person reached over to get his license, I guess, and I don't think the guy died either. I think there may be a pending circumstance, but he shot him several times, and then the victim asked the police officer. The police officer said, because on the tape I heard, he said, "Are you all right? Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah. Why did you shoot me?" So if you got people out here with a hairline trigger like that if you just jerk, you stand to be shot. That's a difficult environment to be in. But furthermore, that environment is inflamed even more when one of these uniformed officers is shot for whatever reason. Now, and I may be kind of going off track here, but think about this. Just the other day, we had a shooting where this fellow, supposedly a disgruntled employee from a television station, killed 2 people on the air. He was black, and they were Caucasian. Now, this guy had been in the television news business for 20 years. He's 41 years old. And he killed these 2 Caucasians. That has set aflame a whole lot of emotions in the Caucasian community by virtue of that one act. So you have these officers out here, police officers. They look at a blacks and say, "Wait a minute, man, what's going on here? I mean, these folks are running wild. They just killed one of us. They killed some news reporters. See, they don't make the distinction that all of us are different, Mac. That guy that shot those two news reporters, he has no connection to that fella in Houston, Texas that killed that police officer. There's no connection between them other than the fact that they supposedly are African Americans, right?
Right.
But the police officers don't make that distinction. If you're a nigger, you're a nigger. You see? I remember years ago, Hubert Humphrey, one of my favorite politicians in the world, he said when he came to Washington, and this was because this guy was, he was not for black people, he was for all people. Just want to be the kind of guy that does say do what's right. They called him the nigger lover. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I know I'm kind of all over the map here, but my point is basically when I see the big picture of the difficulty that we have as a country still trying to resolve this race question, and now with these killings beginning to surface. And I heard your commentary about that movie that you saw. When you throw all of that into the pot, you almost have a witch's brew.
Oh yeah, it's brewing, Bob. And one of the things too is based on what that sheriff stated down in Texas. I think his name was Hickman. He had never seen anything like that because what he was making reference to. He had never seen a policeman killed in cold blood like that.
Exactly, Mac. That's exactly right. You put it very succinctly what I was trying to articulate. That's the nub of the question right there. He had never seen a white officer killed by allegedly a black man in that manner, whereas there's white officers killing black people like that on a daily basis, or at least every 27 hours, according to this report I heard several months ago.
Well, one thing I want to put out there, I had to hope to have a police officer on my show here this week, maybe next week, but one of the things I want to tell all the people out there, especially the young people, the men, the women, just when you are stopped by a police officer, just follow the instructions, because they just looking for any excuse to blow somebody away.
Yes.
And the only thing you need to do is follow the instructions and just do what they say, and hopefully, and we'll pray that you'll be safe, because this thing will be heating up. I got a feeling for that.
I do too, man. I do too. And it's not going to be pretty. And I think that your advice is very well spoken, and it should be very well taken because, as I indicated to you when we first spoke, and introduced myself to your audience. I'm a 75-year-old man out here, and you don't get to be 75 by being herky-jerky. Because I've been stopped by the police on some occasions, but I've never been shot at, never been beat, But perhaps I'm an anomaly, maybe I'm a good house Negro.
I don't think that's what it is, Bob. I think if it's going back to what we had discussed before and what I tried to illustrate regarding that movie Straight Outta Compton and that type
yes.
and the gender type of music that they are playing now, and they have all of these negative comments in those movies about police and doing things against the police, which I mean, we want to protect ourselves from the policemen, but I mean, well, you can't go out here and actually uh, excite those guys because they have authority, some authority, and they're carrying a weapon, and they're already frightened of black men anyway. So they're ready to pull that gun out and blow you away in a minute.
That's right.
It happened here in with the gentleman and football player out of Florida A&M. He had knocked on a door. I relayed that this morning and trying to get help after a car accident. And there was 3 policemen there. Only one of them pulled his gun and shot the guy dead. And
wow.
And the other 2 guys, one guy testified at the trial that the guy could have. They thought they could restrain him physically. That's why he didn't pull his gun. But the other guys claimed he feared for his life, and blew the guy away. But I don't know what's causing that, Bob. And I think it's a lot more to all of this than we really know at this time. I think there's a whole lot of things going on in this society. As I pointed out once before, I believe that the powers to be in this society, and there is a duplicity, complicity of our so-called leaders with these people, where they are trying to get rid of as many blacks in this country as possible. That is a feeling that I have just based on my observations and based on what I've read and my understanding of what's been happening. Have you ever noticed that any time blacks try to do anything for their people, have you noticed this? They're always taken out.
The leadership, you mean?
Whether any point where they're trying to get into a leadership or just doing things more positive. You take Michael Jackson; he was trying to do positive things for blacks. Bill Cosby tried to do positive things for blacks.
Right. Well, Mac, you know, I guess you might call me a 75-year-old theorist, but I have a theory regarding that circumstance that you just articulate, and that is this. You see, and my theory is based upon the slave master relationship. You see, we as a people suffer residual effects, even in 2015, to the slave master relationship, and this is what I mean by that. The slave master is always going to be number one. Even though he or she may suggest that there is equality among us, Voting Rights Act, etc., there will always be a circumstance where the slave will never, ever occupy the rung of the slave master. They will always, because, well, let me put it this way, there's always a first among equals, and the slave master is always going to be the first among the equals of the slaves and the slave master. Now, particularly in America, because America was designed and set up as a Caucasian race country. And today, the Caucasians are feeling pushed in a corner by all of these people of color who are coming into within its boundaries. You see it with the question of the fence down in Mexico. You hear it now. I saw a report the other day where China and India immigrants are much more plentiful coming into America than even the Latins coming along the southern border. Well, report that by 2050, the Caucasian or the slave master, who this country was designed to hold, will be the in a sense the second tier or the second rung person on the ladder. He can't have that. I mean, he's not going to tolerate that. So it doesn't make any difference whether he has to legislate you out of the country or kill you through mass genocide. He's going to see that objective is hold for, because where else can he go? Where does he have to go? I mean, where can he run to? He could go to Canada, which is a much more compatible nation with regards to race, but he's not giving this up. This is his last stand. So, and so he knows he can recruit, as you say, those of us who, or some of us who are amenable to helping him maintain his position. Whatever, it doesn't really matter how much it costs him to recruit me, because he knows he could lose it all. So he might say, well, I'll give Mac, a turkey, or I'll give Bob a duck, and maybe that I could keep my turkey farm and my duck farm, but maybe, maybe Mac might say, well, no, I ain't gonna go for no one turkey, boss, so I need two turkeys. Well, maybe I'll have to give you a television program, and maybe Bob said, oh, master, I need two ducks. Well, I'll buy Bob a Bentley, you see. And that's going on in our society. But if you look back over history, that's been characteristic of us as slaves, and it goes on today in 2015 back.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. I mean, there's some who get more than the others. There's always had your house Negroes,
Right.
your house Negroes, and whatever. And if you see some of the people out there that they are promoting today, you will wonder where their intellect. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I have definitely listened, and I try to emphasize this to people. I'm over 60 years old, and I try to emphasize this to other people my age. And I didn't realize this until I was had to raise a teenager recently, and wow. And you have to monitor them all the time because of that music, so-called music out there. And what has happened here, some of the stuff that's on there, if you go through and you go and you Google lyrics of anybody out there, or who's that guy, whatever his name, the big time guy, whether it's Big Sean or whoever, Ice Cube or whoever, you
You said you mean Jay-Z?
Jay-Z, right? You go out there and Google that guy or Kenya West or whoever. You make you wonder, where did these guys get these lyrics from, and why are they doing that? I mean, for what's the purpose? And we know it's the bottom line is money, but it's more to it than that, though, Bob.
Yes.
And I've tried to express that in my previous show as to what my theory and my hypothesis is regarding that. And hopefully people will look at that and go out and listen to these lyrics, and you will see why there's so much police killing. Because first of all, you and I were taught, and just as you taught your sons, I taught mine. Hey, if the police stop you, you just, cooperate, do what you have to do, and the next day you'll still be around to fight.
That's right.
And that's what I taught them, and that's what I do. So they haven't been thrown around or beat up or anything like that, because they did what they've asked. But this music today, and over the last 20 years, Bob, if a kid didn't have a parent out there or someone out there giving him guidance, then they think they are invincible. And
Yes.
and they think that they listen to what they say about killing the police and doing this and doing that, and therefore, what happens? They end up in a very bad situation, just like the Sandra Bland girl did.
Yes.
Now only thing, I'm not that cop was absolutely wrong in my opinion. How can he tell somebody to put out the cigarette? But hey, you can't go around with an attitude like that. You knowing how these people are. You've got to cooperate and fight them the next day.
That's right.
And that's the same thing I've seen with the other guy, the brown kid. If the guy tell you to get out of the street, get out of the street. It's as simple as that. And you'll still live another day. Somehow or another, the parents are not teaching their kids what they should do. We're living in a racist society. And that's why we have to focus on trying to build our own communities. We don't have any communities, as Dr. Claude Anderson says.
Right.
We just live in neighborhoods. But if we built communities where we had employment, jobs, and activity for our kids to do, then we wouldn't have all of these problems. And we got rid of and got these guys to tone down their rhetoric on these raising. The kids are being raised by the degenerate music from the time they get out of the womb.
Well, and I think you make some very excellent points. It occurs to me that, those people that are putting out that music, and as you pointed out at the very beginning, we know it's about money, but you don't see them being pulled over and see them running from the police and being shot. And yet, they're the ones that are putting out this information. When you were saying that, it occurred to me, going back to an earlier point that we were discussing, this, what was his name, Vester Lee Flanagan II, who allegedly killed those two reporters and himself. He was 41 years old, so he is like a so-called post-civil rights person, and he lives in a so-called post-racial environment. And yet, if you look back, which I did just out of curiosity, at his employment, he's worked out in California. He's worked in several different TV stations as a reporter, and in many of those places where he's worked, he has claimed racial discrimination. And as I read those things, I thought to myself, well, he is and I'm not trying to be offensive, but he is one of those higher, we used to call them as a kid, high yellow Negroes, and perhaps he thought that he was aggrieved because he wasn't treated just like whites are treated. I'm a human being. Well, and he should be treated that way. I'm not dismissing that, but it goes to the heart of what you're saying. See, we don't understand that there are two tiers. I don't care what you have to understand that if the guy tells you to put the cigarette out, put the cigarette out. Granted, he's not going to tell a Caucasian to put the cigarette out if he's Caucasian, because it's a different relationship, But this Flanagan guy, he probably thought that we live in a post-racial society. I'm equal to this other coworker, and I'm gay, and I know some other people that are here in the station that's gay. They don't talk to him like that, but they talk to me like that, and that's racial discrimination. They don't. It's a confused circumstance that many of these people who live in our society today are confronted with, and they're going to have to do a lot of work on themselves if they want to continue to survive, Mac.
Well, you're right, Bob, and I tell you, Well, let's see how this plays out here over the next couple of days, and we'll come back and maybe we'll have some more information to shed some light on this situation.
I'll be glad to do that, Mac.
Down
and
in.
Thank you for having me on the show again.
Yeah, and thank you for being here, Bob. And you have a great day. And I want to thank the audience too for being with us, and join us again on our next show. Thank you very much, and have a great day, Bob.